Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Suitors Lounge podcast. I'm your host, Matt at PostUp323. Don't forget to like and subscribe, guys. You can follow us on YouTube, and also you can follow us wherever you get your podcasts, Spotify, Apple, wherever you get your podcasts, you'll be able to follow us. So check that out. Tonight, we have a new guest. This time, we've got Andy from Utah Jazz UK. Andy, welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you very much for having me on. I'm honoured to be here and discussing all things Utah Jazz and NBA with you, Matt.
Absolutely, mate. Pleasure, mate. Thanks a lot for agreeing to come on, mate. It's how are things, man? Are we good?
Well, I'll tell the video viewers right now. One half of my face is slightly swollen because I had a wisdom tooth out yesterday. But like a trooper, I'm as a fellow podcaster, I couldn't let you down. So I had to make sure that I was battling through it for you.
Absolutely soldiering on, mate, like a hero. Thanks a lot, Andy, for still keeping the commitment, keeping the dream alive. But it's a pleasure.
It's a nightmare when you let down. Trust me, I've been in that situation. It's so annoying. So couldn't do that to you.
No, it's all right when it's a couple of days before, but when it's like an hour before, then you're like, I've got nothing to do now. What can you do? I've done a couple of podcasts on my own. I don't know if you have, Andy, but I find them very difficult.
I've literally just cancelled podcasts and just gone, no, we'll touch back in next week. I'm not doing it now.
Yeah, I did a couple, and then after that, I'm just like, I really don't enjoy doing these. So yeah, you probably have to cancel. Unfortunately, things.
You're just
happen,
talking to yourself, aren't you? That's the problem.
It's literally just a vlog. It's a video diary of whatever thoughts you've got in your head, isn't it? Yeah, it's a tough one, isn't it? But but no, thanks a lot, mate, for agreeing to come on and giving up your time, mate. Much appreciated. So you are you run the Utah Jazz UK social media. Tough times at the moment, Andy, being a Jazz fan. Is that easy? It's tough to say.
You're looking for different things. So,
Sure.
you're talking to somebody who grew up a Cardiff City fan, so was therefore used to failure. So, like the idea of in the NBA, there's only ever going to be one team that wins it. So if you're basing everything off of if you win it or bust, then you're bound to be disappointed. There's 29 other teams that are going to be disappointed every year.
Absolutely.
So, at the moment, there's a lot of positivity around the Jazz internally, even though they are second bottom of the standings at the moment. But it's about building blocks and it's about seeing potential and seeing what we've got potentially for the future.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah. That's kind of how it goes into, you think, that's kind of tough watching at the moment, maybe, in the records not quite near where you want it or need it to be, but hopefully when you finish down the bottom order of the conferences, hopefully you might get a high draft pick and then maybe a player who can bring some better fortunes, Andy, to your team, I'd say.
We've been playing capture the flag all year, and I just hope we manage to get there.
Are you a fan of Cooper Flag? Have you been keeping a close eye on it? With you, obviously, might be in the stakes. So,
yeah, I watched as much of March Madness as I could just to sort of have a look at a few of the different prospects because you've got Ace Bailey's up there as well, Dylan Harper. So hopefully we won't fall too far down the standings, and you never know. Fingers crossed for that number one pick.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's a shame, isn't it? If you finish like in the bottom 2 or 3, you're not guaranteed that number one pick, are you? That's kind of different to the NFL, isn't it? With the, if you finish bottom, you get the number one pick next year. This is kind of, well, you might get it, but you've got a better chance than others, isn't it? It's a tough one.
Yeah, I was really hoping that the Timberwolves would begin to collapse because we've got their pick this year, so we would get their odds as well.
Yes.
But if they make the play in, then that's out of the running. So it's not where we were a couple of years ago, where we led the Western Conference, and like we should have done a whole lot better than we did. But the truth of the matter was that team had kind of run its course, or that management style had kind of run its course. So things needed to change, and credit to Danny Ainge, he cashed in when the chips were high. Like the amount he got for Rudy Gobert, when you look at some of the stars that have been moved subsequently, Luka Doncic, for example, how many first round picks was that? We've managed to rinse both Cleveland and Minnesota for it, but Cleveland are top of the East, so
Yeah, I don't think they regret that move if you're Cleveland, are you? But like you
No.
say, you kind of cashed in when the price was high, probably. And I think that Gobert trade was kind of like wow, that was that a market setter, or was that a kind of exception? Really, it was a kind of how many first round picks is that? How many swaps is that? And you even managed to muscle in on the Luka trade, didn't you? You got a couple.
Yeah, well,
there was a
someone
couple of picks involved, didn't it?
Yeah, someone was going to, so we had to. But basically, from what I understand, the idea of getting rid of Gobert wasn't the initial, we're going to have to do this. But when you get an offer like that, everyone's for sale. So, and then with Rudy going, it was only a matter of time with Don going as well. So, that was it was a strange summer, but then the season afterwards, Lauri Markkanen became an all-star. So
very true. Yes, very
true. And we had the all-star game in Utah as well.
Yeah, no, I mean Markkanen was kind of a guy people said he was a failure, and he definitely proved people wrong, didn't he? Playing for the Jazz, didn't he? Last year, 100%.
Yeah, he's got a max contract now. What they've been trying this year again is, it's easy to look at his stats and say, you know what, he's not performed this year. He's not, but they've actually been trying to do different things. In that they've been trying to make him create his own shot in a way that he previously hasn't. He's been much more assisted, as opposed to sort of give it to him on the low block and let him go. So there's an element of growing pains there, but hopefully it makes him a better player, even though he's not considered a youngster anymore.
No, absolutely. So if you do get Cooper Flag, how far do you think the Jazz are away from, maybe getting back to better times, would you say?
So if we got Cooper, you look at the Spurs this year, like they got Wemby, and even that hasn't pushed them into the upper echelons as yet. So it's a case of, I think we're in this at least for another 3 years. And then, it's the famous old football adage that Alan Hansen said, in that you never win anything with kids. But in basketball, it's actually true. Like, you look at the history, nowadays, rookies don't tend to come in and change the face of a franchise anymore, even when they're Victor Wembanyama. So even look at a young LeBron James, he had to leave to win a chip. So it's I think we're in this for a relatively long haul, which it is what it is. You just got to hope for the luck of the balls and put yourselves in the best position possible.
Absolutely. And Danny Ainge has always got a plan, hasn't he, Andy? I think the man's always got a plan. He's always got the next move and the next two and next three moves, maybe. I don't know.
He's got a plan B, C, D, and E already. And, he's kind of overseeing, he's the CEO, the GM, Justin Zanuck. He's seemingly a damn sight better than the guy that we had him before, who gave Oklahoma City a first-round pick to take Derek Favors off of us, which was like the worst possible.
Ouch.
And then we drafted Azubuike instead of I forget who went after him, but it was a very bad draft that year.
Yeah. That's the thing. Sometimes you can be in the wrong draft, can't you? Like last year, probably not the draft you wanted to win last year, I would say. It wasn't too many of those. Well, definitely not a franchise-changing player last year. So, but I think people are a bit more higher on Cooper Flag, would you say?
Yeah, and Ace Bailey and Dylan Harper even. But there's quality to be had in all drafts. We got Isaiah Collier last year, who was the 27th pick, and he overtook John Stockton's assist records. So for the highest amount of assists in a rookie season for the Utah Jazz.
Really?
And when you're mentioned in the same breath as John Stockton in Utah, that's usually pretty good.
Yes, absolutely.
Unless we're talking politics, which we won't. But
That's
and we also
another podcast, Andy. I think that one.
let's sidestep that one.
Let's leave that one.
And
Yeah.
we also got Kyle Filipowski in the 32nd pick,
Yes.
who I would argue is the rookie of the year relative to where he was selected, because he's been on an absolute heater. Like last night, he hit over 30 points. Okay, we won, which is arguably like losing for us, but
yeah,
it's
yeah.
He's just been on an absolute tear since pretty much the All-Star break. Flip has managed to really get some quality 3-point shots, but also he's a big man in the mold of a Nikola Jokic or a Domantas Sabonis, in that he's able to pass and see the floor, and you can run your offense through him. But again, you don't win anything with kids, so you're not going to get there yet.
Well, there's something there, though. I think are there some players that you think maybe, if the Jazz in maybe the next 4 or 5 years are a playoff team, Andy, is there some players? There are some players there who could contribute on those teams. Would you say?
Yeah, I mean, you look at Walker Kessler. He basically set the league alight the year after the Gobert trade. So he was drafted by Minnesota and traded with the Gobert trade.
Yeah,
and he set the league alight that first year. The second year, he kind of dipped. This year, he's added shooting. He's become much more dominant, and the key thing is he's winning the matchups you'd expect him to win, and he's holding his own against some of the greats, against the great centers of the league.
Yeah.
There's also like Keontae George, who's a second-year player this year. He's been playing particularly well. Whether his shooting percentages can improve kind of remains to be seen, but he's got something. There's something there with him.
No, absolutely. Kessler's averaging 2.4 blocks a game, which I wasn't aware of.
Yeah.
That's, you're up there in terms of, paint presence and things like that, aren't you? You kind of, but going back to what you said about, them players, once they come into the league, very rare are you getting that instant kind of improvement in your team, because these players are so raw now. They've been in college 1 year, well, not even a year. What is it? 5-6 months. And then they're in the league. They're so raw, aren't they? And sometimes it takes 2 or 3 years for them to actually develop into what kind of player they're going to be. Andy, would you say?
Exactly. It used to be a case of people would complete college and then join the NBA draft. But if you're drafted now over 20, like this is basically what happened with Kyle Filipowski.
Yes.
If you're drafted over the age of 20, you're seen as, he's just old. And
I wouldn't take him. I wouldn't take him. He's a bit old.
Yeah.
Why were you in college 4 years? It's almost like, why did you do that? Well, I'd like a degree if that's all right.
Yeah, he doesn't need basketball. He reads books.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Oh no, he's a troublemaker. That one. He reads and things. Oh no, we don't want him. But I always think as Tim Duncan as a classic example. When Tim Duncan come into the league, I'm probably showing my age a little bit now, but when he come into the league, he was the finished product. He was the finished article almost, and he contributed straight away in terms of, the Spurs had Robinson already and a kind of plenty of guys around him, didn't he? But in terms of a player, he was good straight away, and you could tell. But you kind of don't get that kind of polished, finished product now, do you, Andy? These kids, they come in, they're 19. I mean, Cooper Flagg, I think he's only 18 and a half years old.
So,
depressing, super raw. So, I mean, talent, potential. You kind of got to see who's this guy going to be in 6, 7, 8 years. What kind of a player it's going to be, and you can understand why some teams miss on these players, because sometimes they don't pan out, do they? Some of these players, they think, oh well, yeah, he could be the next guy, and sometimes it doesn't pan out. Are we seeing that way with Zion Williamson? Are we going to be one of them what if kind of guys? I don't know.
I mean, that's I think that's a case of the wrong franchise at the wrong time. I think he's,
Could be, mate. Could be, absolutely. Yeah, wrong
it,
team, wrong. Yeah, just wrong
when you look
setup.
at their injury records as well, they don't look great. When even like CJ
No.
McCollum, and they've had a whole load of injury problems almost every year. Your Valanciunas of the world,
Yeah.
and as much as you hate to turn around and say maybe we should look at the medical staff, there is a question of if something's happening consistently, what's the common thread here?
Sure.
So,
Is the
yeah.
gumbo that good down there? I don't know. What's going on?
I'm not going to enter the conversation as to what Zion's been doing in New Orleans.
Yeah, that's definitely another podcast. Depends on what you believe into it and what you read, Andy. I think on that one.
That's the Shooters Lounge After Dark.
Absolutely. Coming to YouTube soon, guys. Shooters Lounge.
Glad you said YouTube.
Yeah. Oh dear. So so Andy, so when did you kind of first start following the NBA? When do you remember when that happened?
I do. I was an old convert to the NBA. So it all kind of starts. I was sent to, and this ties in with the next question of how did I become a Utah Jazz fan?
Okay.
And am I still on?
Yeah, I got you, mate. Yeah.
Audio.
Are you there, Andy?
Yes, I'm here now. Sorry.
Got you? No, you're right. No problem.
I think my Bluetooth for anyway. It sort of ties into the question of how I became a Jazz fan. Is that I knew I was going to be sent to America for work. So I work with a family history brand, and Salt Lake City hosts the largest family history convention in the world, because it is a part of the remit of the Church of the Latter-day Saints to provide family history records for free for everybody. They want people to know where they've come from. And so they host that in Salt Lake City. So I knew I was going to be heading to that. So I kind of had a look. What else is there to do in Salt Lake City? And Google told me not a lot. But I found the Utah Jazz. And that first year I went, I was 2018. So I had a look around and saw maybe if I can get there, I'll have a look and see if I can get to a game. And unfortunately, I couldn't. But then I went back in 2020, literally just before Gobert touched all the microphones.
Wow, really?
And I watched the Jazz against the Washington Wizards and the Boston Celtics, and then after that, I was hooked. It was just a dopamine hit that I needed. So, then the league got shut down. I caught up on as much as I could. Then The Last Dance happened, which, that was great. Then going back through the NBA archives, watching old games, and in that in The Last Dance, they referenced the 97-98 finals. So I went back and watched those and got more familiar with that Jazz team at that time.
Tough time for a Jazz fan, mate, that one.
Again, you got to celebrate. We finished second.
Absolutely, mate. Absolutely. You were 2 games away, mate. 2 games away. Absolutely.
And if you're going to lose to anyone, you just as well lose to Michael Jordan.
You weren't the only one, mate.
Also, let's be honest. In that last shot, he did push off. It was an offensive foul. Not that Jazz fans are bitter about it at all.
I was going to say, that sounds...
definitely pushed off.
Okay.
If refs are out here ejecting Luka for talking to fans, then that was an offensive foul.
I think in this day and age, mate, I think you're right, Andy. I think you're right. I think in this day and age, I think he's getting called, but Mike was Mike then, wasn't he? And,
you ain't calling Mike in the last game of The Last Dance in the NBA Finals.
Mate.
It's not.
No. But they had a good team back then, man, the Jazz. They I mean, any other year... They probably should have won it in '99, really, but just didn't pan out because they were probably the best team that year. after
Yeah.
MJ retired for the second time. I think they were probably the best because Karl Malone was MVP again, I think, in the
Of course,
99. Yeah, so they should have won it that year, but sometimes you just need that bit of luck, don't you? But definitely had
It's
a solid team back then.
it's also akin to if you're a football fan, a soccer fan, you look at the Premier League.
Mm,
The great teams kind of push each other on, and
sure.
Liverpool finished with 97 points and didn't win the league
Yeah,
because that Man City team were just unstoppable. So
sure.
it's
Yeah,
it's a similar sort of thing. You can't be upset about the fact that you finished second because that's the team that finished first.
sure. Yeah, no, absolutely, absolutely. Like you say, when you lose to arguably the greatest of all time, it's you kind of just got to hold your hands up and say they had the best player, and usually the guy with the best player, the team with the best player, usually wins the series, don't they? So
I mean, if I was watching at the time, I probably would have cried. I will
yeah,
be completely honest. Being there, believing it at that point, it would have been
sure.
much more difficult. Um,
Yeah,
Seeing it
yeah,
in retrospect, knowing the result, you go,
sure.
okay.
Did you watch every game then of the both series? Yeah, every game.
No, I watched the last game of both.
Oh, okay, yeah, yeah, yeah. Different game back then, man.
Very different,
Different game
very
back then.
different.
It's a lot slower. You
Yeah,
you kind of forget sometimes. I think the same with football as well. When you watch these games from yesteryear, you're like, my god, this thing was slow. But you didn't think
but
that at the time, do you? Because you just that's how it is, But
exactly. But the physicality and
mm,
the hand checking and all the stuff like that. I watched the
yeah,
when the Jazz won the Western Conference against the Rockets to go through to
yes,
the finals, where Stockton just he knocked a three down, just let it go, and it's probably the only time you've seen that kind of raw emotion from him on the court.
true, true.
And yeah, watching that game, knowing this is basically the pinnacle of Jazz history, that was good. That was an enjoyable watch. I watched that with my eldest kid actually, and
Nice.
he got into it a little bit as well
Oh, right, cool.
because
That's
he
cool,
didn't
man.
know the result.
Ah, okay, nice. Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, that's cool. Great moving screen by Karl Malone as well on that play. If you rewatch it, it's great.
You're not going to call that in the Western Conference final. That's
Yeah. He's literally just shoving
he just
Barkley.
holds
I,
him.
I,
Yeah,
don't- I can't
yeah,
remember
yeah.
if it's Barkley. No, it's not Barkley. It's somebody else. But he's literally just shoving him out of the way, just
He's
walking him
holding him.
along. Like it's brilliant.
He
Yeah,
said
but
he said subsequently that he's like, I'm going to make him make a decision and see what they
yes,
do.
yeah. So
Got to
who's
push your
gonna
luck sometimes.
who's got the cojones to make a call like that, isn't it? Yeah, that's
Absolutely.
basically it. And they didn't, and yeah, and as you say, the rest is history. But what do you think as Malone and Stockton as a tandem then? Looking back on it,
I'm going to just stay on the court because
sure,
you
yeah,
know
okay, I get that.
um,
Sure, yeah, yeah,
on the court, they were magical. They were
yeah,
so utterly in sync,
mm,
and Malone had the real sort of snarl and drive and ability to finish in and around
sure,
the hoop. And
absolutely,
Stockton was gifted with such beautiful court vision that he knew where Malone was going to be because A, he knew Malone, and B, that's where he would want somebody to be.
yeah,
So the combination of the two of them, yeah, they were
mm,
for me, they're top two or three duos in the NBA history. It just so happens they came up against Jordan and Pippen.
sure, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't think either of them are successful without each other. I think it's one of them, isn't it, where they're not as Malone probably doesn't score as many points without Stockton, and
No,
Stockton wouldn't have had as many as assists. It kind of all incorporates together, doesn't it? But everybody knew the pick and roll was coming, but there wasn't a lot they could do about it. That's how
yeah.
how it
Knowing is
went
one
most
thing,
times.
stopping's another.
Yeah, exactly. And people are still trying to solve the pick and roll even now, even all these years later. So yeah, but they had some good players, and Jerry Sloan as well was a coach for so long as well, wasn't he? And
Yeah,
um,
the legendary Jerry Sloan. I mean,
yeah,
there was also the people like Greg Ostertag on the team and Jeff Hornacek, and
yeah,
Hornacek is one of those players that could have played in the noughties. Like he could have easily helped that 3-point revolution along. The way he shot, he was
Absolutely.
one of those sort of unheralded heroes of that team.
Probably before his before, like you say, kind of in the wrong era. Really, you kind of see these players, don't you? Come along, going, man, seeing that guy in that era would have been, and he's kind of reverse, isn't he? You think, man, in this day and age, he'd have averaged 25, 30 a game, wouldn't he? And in this day and age, with the spacing and things and stuff like that, like you say, it's yeah, that's some good players, didn't he? Howard Isley, Greg Foster, players like that, and yeah, they were. They kind of, I always felt like they were kind of an extension of Jerry Sloan's personality. He was always very, it was all hard nosed, blue collar kind of. That was what his teams were like.
I think every story needs a villain, and the Jazz were the NBA villains at the time. If you had the Bulls as the great saviors of of basketball and of taking it global and doing what the '92 team did and all that.
Yeah.
I think that the Jazz were the villains, which I'm okay with.
Unfortunately, mate, people still think about it now. They're like, "Oh, I hate the Jazz." There's no real reason why, though. Like
that's why we need Cooper Flagg. We need someone to go up against Victor Wembanyama.
The Great White Hope, Cooper Flagg. That could be it, mate. Yeah.
Where else to send the Great White Hope than Utah?
I mean, it's almost written, isn't it, in the stars, Andy? I think. That's what should happen, surely.
We can live in hope.
Absolutely, mate. Absolutely. You've got to be in it to win it, is what they say. So
we are very much in it.
Absolutely, mate. Yeah, you're right. You're right where you need to be, hopefully. So yeah, with any luck, the fortunes might change. But were you much of
never had a number one pick? That's the thing. Never had a number one pick. So something's
really
never.
Oh yeah, that's probably true. Yeah, yes. No, you're right. What are you, Darren Williams, Carlos Boozer fan? They had some good years.
They did. I went again. I was coming to this all much later. I particularly liked Karolinko in that era. Just watching back some of the highlights that I've seen. Obviously, Williams had his let's call them issues with Jerry Sloan.
Yeah, he basically requested a trade in the end, didn't he? Fell out with Jerry.
It's ultimately why Sloan retired. But
Jerry quit first before Darren left. Is that right?
And then shortly afterwards, Darren left. So yeah, like that became a thing. But that seems a lot like the Mitchell Gobert years to me, in that they were always kind of the bridesmaids. They were always there or thereabouts in the regular season. Then when the playoffs came, the Utah fan base came out and the arena looked great, and the team just didn't quite get over that hump, get over the line. Didn't get as close as they did in the 90s, but it seems that the way that the Jazz have managed to construct the rosters over the years without sort of these top picks, if you will, they've still managed to get there or thereabouts without actually being able to get over it.
Sure. No, absolutely. I mean, I think you did draft Gobert and Mitchell?
We did.
Utah? Yeah. So, you kind of rebuilt through the draft. Mitchell, was Mitchell 7th or 8th in the draft that year, I think?
Yeah.
So, a lot of people passed. A lot of people passed on Mitchell, said he was too small, and
Gobert was 27 as well.
Yeah,
so
too old.
He was damn near in the. No, it was in the. He was drafted at number 27. So.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Okay.
So he, like, you think 3-time defensive player of the year. Like, it's unbelievable. But being able to spot these people, like I said, there's talent in every draft, and it's just about picking the right person in the right situation at the right time.
Yeah.
So I think that where the rookies have got lucky this season is that they've got a whole load of minutes that they probably wouldn't have gotten on other teams.
Very true. Yeah,
so
they're getting the reps. Getting in the reps, aren't they?
Yeah, if Kyle Filipowski had ended up on, the Boston Celtics, then he was never going to get anywhere near the minutes that he's got.
No, so absolutely. Yeah, no.
It just helps people grow.
No, absolutely, mate. Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, so you kind of the Jazz fan and NBA fandom kind of all it kind of happened all together. Then would you say, Andy?
Yeah. I mean, I always like if I'm gonna watch some kind of sport to have a horse in the race. So there's plenty of sports that I haven't started watching, like NHL being one of them. The NFL even, but I've tried that and it's not for me. But
Okay. Yeah.
if I'm watching a sport, I like to have a horse in the race. I like to have,
Okay.
even if I'm watching, last night it was Portsmouth and Coventry
Okay.
because there
Yeah.
were implications with Cardiff City's league position. So
Yeah.
I'm quite happy to watch pretty much anything, but with always half an eye on who
Yeah.
I'm looking out for.
No, that's fair, mate. That's fair. So yeah, so that's since 2020. So you're still kind of in early, but you've kind of gone back on the history, and you kind of know where the Jazz have been, and that's the team for
Yeah.
you then, yeah.
Yeah, I can't really go back now. It's it's one of those things that your franchise, you don't choose your franchise, the franchise chooses you. And
Yeah.
I was sent to Salt Lake City. Many people in Salt Lake City get sent all around the world to spread the message, whereas I went to Salt Lake City,
Yeah.
got spread a specific message about the NBA, and I came home with that.
There you go. There you go. I always say once you buy merch for the team, it's merch official. There's no going back, man. You've got to go with it, haven't you?
This is the pen that I bought when I was out there. This is the
Okay.
5-year-old pen because I was at a trade show. I needed a pen,
Yeah.
which just happens to be by my desk, and
Nice.
I bought that
Lovely.
when I was actually in Salt Lake. So
Okay.
it was already, the die was cast before I left.
It's already written in the stars before it even
With
been.
that pen.
With the pen. Absolutely. Love that, mate. That's great. So are you you Jersey guy, Andy? I think you do have some jerseys. Before we
I do.
started recording, you did say you were kind of on a crusade. Is that safe to say, a crusade?
I mean, that makes it sound like I'm, for a start, like going into places and pillaging them. I'm not like,
Are
I'm
you?
not that
You're not.
awful.
Okay, that's okay.
But no, I'm basically, I'm trying just to get one of everyone's jerseys.
Yeah.
I'm in no huge rush. I'll get there when I get there.
Yeah.
And if other ones pop up, like I was in London last year and picked up a France jersey with Wembanyama on the back because it was a France jersey, like
Nice.
just something. So whereas with football, I'm pretty team specific. I would never be caught dead in anyone else's football shirt.
Yeah.
With basketball, if it's a nice jersey, I'm kind of okay with it.
Yeah.
Like similarly, I have a picture of Michael Jordan on the wall behind me.
You do. That's true.
It's you nail your fandom to the mast, but also you have to admire A, great photography, B, great players, and in the
Yeah.
instance of jerseys, great designs.
No, absolutely, absolutely. So, how many different team jerseys do you have? Do you know?
Ooh, you could have sent me through this beforehand.
Sorry, I put you on the spot, bro. Sorry, man.
I think I've probably got about 7 or 8.
No, yeah,
I've also
okay.
got a couple of All-Star jerseys in there. I've got 2 Markkanen All-Star jerseys, one from each team from when it was hosted in Utah.
Nice, yeah.
Just because obsession.
Good. Yeah, man.
Yeah. So about 6 or 7. So then that probably takes me to about 15 jerseys all in when you add in the Jazz ones too.
Yeah. No, absolutely, mate. You got to start somewhere, man, and then it's over time. You kind of it's an expensive hobby for one, isn't it?
It is, especially when you start adding in the sneakers.
Yeah. Oh no, are you a sneaker guy too?
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
wow.
So I kind of was before the basketball anyway.
Okay, you just like
but
the kind of style and stuff, and
yeah. I mean, I'd always had a bit of an affinity for Jordan Brand,
yeah.
which again I shouldn't say as a Jazz fan, but Jordan ones are brilliant. And
Yeah.
when I hoop now, I've got a couple of different pairs of shoes for playing in.
Okay, nice. Nice. Do you know how many pairs of sneakers you have? I'll put you on spot again here, Andy. Sorry.
It's only about 6 because I make the mistake of wearing them, which I know not many people do. There is literally 1 pair that I don't wear,
Okay.
unless it's like a nice special occasion, and
Yep.
that was because my wife bought them for me for my 30th birthday, and
Okay.
they were just a really beautiful pair of Jordan 1s. So,
Nice.
so they're the looking shoes, but for the most part, I just kind of wear like I went through. I had a pair of Tatum 1s,
Oh,
and
yeah.
went through them because the shoes kind of broke as I was playing basketball, and I just went, okay, that's fine. I've had my use out of them, so
Yeah.
not too many on the old shoe front.
No, it's all good, man. For me, mate, trainers are brought to be worn.
Exactly.
I don't really. I get why people don't because they're probably thinking one day they could be able to sell them for a lot of money or whatever. But for me, I buy trainers that I want to wear and I think will look good wearing. I think I'm kind of with you on that front, Andy, for sure.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent. But in terms of favorite jerseys, as a
Yes.
Jazz fan, you kind of have to point to the mountains, right? Those
Yeah.
mountains are iconic.
Absolutely, absolutely.
I
It was the first
don't get
one
me wrong,
in what year was that? Do you know? For 90,
96,
yeah,
97
96,
was the
97.
first.
Yeah, yeah.
I
Like you
I
say,
love
an
the Jazz
iconic
note,
loop.
the like having
Yes,
the note on things because it is a music note with incorporating the basketball. Like I like the design. There's a media studies brain in me that you look at all of that and you see the different semiotics they put on display and you go, yes, all of that works. The fact it's a J, the fact it's a music note, the fact it's a basketball, perfect.
yeah.
But
They
the
nailed the branding,
mountains,
didn't they?
oh yeah,
Nailed the
yeah, which
branding.
is something they haven't done in recent years with the horrible highlighter yellow jerseys. But there's
There's
a
a
return to the
couple. There's a
mountains.
couple, Andy, that you think I don't really know what happened here. Um, yeah,
Yeah. Highlighter
there's
yellow with just the black lettering of jazz written on it. You go, that's not creative. Don't
no.
do
It just
that.
it just felt like a summer league jersey to me. That's
It
what it
felt
felt like.
like the intern had been given a jersey design to make and didn't really know what to do and just wrote one word on a
Just
horrible, horrible color.
just mailed it in. Oh, let's just give him this. This is it.
Thankfully, they are now consigned to history. The last
Yes.
couple of years, there's been the return to the mountains. I actually really like the statement edition for this year, which has got the blue collar in as well. So it matches it's got the mountains with a shade of blue on the side with the blue collar and yeah,
Yep.
big fan of that blue
Nice.
trim.
Absolutely.
But yeah, there's going back the old sand knit ones, the old purple ones. But I do have a soft spot for the blue, the Darren Williams era ones.
It's like the kind of light blue color, isn't it? Yeah,
That's it,
light
yeah.
blue. Yeah. I remember
Baby
that one. I
bluish.
remember. Yeah. That's kind of what we're talking. 2006,
Yeah,
something
yeah,
like
about
that.
that.
Yeah. Yeah, like you say, I think the purple mountain jersey, I think that's kind of going to be like the sun starburst. It's just going to come back every few years, right? I think that's
And
just a
I'm
kind of
here for it.
iconic. Yeah, and I think everybody does when they see it. People are like, yeah, that works, done it, kind of thing. I think it's just going to come back every few years. Andy, would you agree?
I hope so. I hope so. I hope it never leaves, to be honest.
No,
But I
no.
do like in the sort of Mitchell Gobert era where it was the gradient jerseys where it started off in red and kind of went up to yellow.
Started at
And
black at the bottom.
they that was another one as well.
Oh, sorry, I like that one. I was a fan
Yeah,
of
yeah,
that one. The black, and then it kind of went to red and yellow as it went up. I
yeah,
like that. That was
yeah.
decent,
And then
mate.
there was another one that we did which started at red and then ended. It was a bit brighter, a bit more summery.
Oh, yeah. So was that how the kind of all-star jerseys were?
Yeah,
Did they use similar thing to that as well?
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. They did.
yeah.
So the All Star jerseys were basically that colorway for the one team, and then it went from black to blue on the other one. So
That's right. Yeah. No, that's right. Yeah. No, they have had some iconic designs over the years, like the
Mm.
original kind of 1970s jazz one, the purple, the original purple and stuff. They kind of bring that back now and again as well, don't they?
Yeah, I was ummed and ahhing as to whether to wear a jersey whilst talking. And one of the ones I picked up was they redid the original Jazz jerseys last year because it was 50 years of the Jazz
Yes.
and 50 years of the Utah Jazz, and they brought that one back. So I
They
have
did.
one of those with Jordan Clarkson on it. I was gonna wear it, but
Nice.
I elected just for the swag instead.
Oh, there we go. You're still representing though, Andy. That's all right. But yeah, it was the classic jersey, wasn't it, from last year? Yeah, that's.
Yeah.
I think again that's just that colorway just kind of works, and I think that'll probably make an appearance again in another few years. I bet.
Yeah. I think that part of the worry is that there's Sacramento have got purple, the
True.
Lakers have got purple. There's a couple of other teams that have got purple in the league. So
Suns. Yeah.
yeah,
There's quite a lot of purple going about actually.
Mm,
Now you say it,
yeah. But I mean, I tend to associate the Suns more with the black and orange anyway.
fair.
Those Valley
fair.
jerseys as well, they were amazing. They were so cool.
Yeah, iconic, mate. Iconic. I think them ones for sure. Yeah, 100%. Do you usually go for the colorway jerseys, or do you sometimes go for a white jersey? I say home jerseys, but they don't do it like that anymore. I'm showing my
No,
age again now.
that's not how it works now, is it?
No, it was so simple back in the day. At home, you wore white. If you didn't, you wore colour. I mean, it's just so simple. Now it's like, oh, they both wear the coloured jerseys today. I'm like, what? What's going on? But yeah,
Yeah.
lot
No,
different.
I think a lot of the other jerseys that I have are white.
Okay, nice.
So like I've got an all-star jersey from I forget which year it was. It was when they were all white and they just had the team logo in the middle.
Yes,
From
yeah,
Chicago, and I've got a Jordan one
yeah.
of those.
Oh, nice.
Which I got from previous guest Elliot Hoopin and Luton.
Shout out to Elliot, always providing jerseys for us UK folk.
As soon as I say to my wife that Ellie's got a drop happening, she's just like, "How much is it going to cost you?"
Oh no, it's happened again.
It's literally a Christmas Day tradition that Ellie drops his jerseys at midday. I stop cooking to buy whatever jersey it is I want.
I mean, outrageous who does a drop on Christmas Day. Elliot, Hoopin and Luton. Go give him a follow, guys. Shout out to Elliot, man. He's a good guy.
Top dude. I met him I met him down at Bristol Flyers as well because that's not too far away from me.
Okay, nice.
Yeah, I took my kid along. He met him and gave him the VIP treatment, and to this day he reps Hoopin and Luton whilst he's at basketball practice.
Love it. That's great, man. That's awesome. Yeah. Are you a British basketball fan as well, Andy? Do you
Try to keep an eye on everything, but plates are spinning and whatnot.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, when we can, unfortunately, where the Flyers play is literally in SGS College, so South Gloucester College, and it's a gym with one set of bleachers on one side.
Right.
So there's not a lot of seating, so they sell out quite quickly.
Right.
But planning has gone through. So the Flyers are owned by Bristol Sport, who also own Bristol City and Bristol Bears. Right. So they're now going to have like a sports complex over by Ashton Gate Stadium where Bristol City play.
Okay.
So
nice.
In time coming, there should be a very nice little basketball arena down here.
Nice.
But that will remain to be seen how long it takes.
Got to go through that red tape, haven't you, and all that stuff. And
exactly.
Yeah. But, no, that'd be good though, wouldn't it? Yeah, be able to hold more people as well, and get a lot more people in, isn't it? Definitely.
Yeah, well, clearly the fact they're selling out all the time, it means that there is an appetite in the city. And we talk about favorite jerseys, not from the Jazz. The Bristol Flyers one from a few years ago, where they had the Clifton suspension bridge with the balloons on it. That was beautiful.
Yeah, nice. Yeah. Nice, mate. That's good. Yeah. So, any other jerseys, Andy, or have we covered the ones you've kind of? got singled out?
We've pretty much covered them. I mean, I could chat for a little while about some of the ones I don't have, but the on the to get list. But we'll
Okay.
that could go on for a while.
Oh, absolutely. Is there 2 or 3 that you're desperate to have then? Not
I
jazz
really
ones or
want.
any if you want. It's fine.
Yeah, no. I mean, jazz ones. I'll kind of have anything that comes my way.
Yeah.
But outside of that, I really want a sort of '90s Orlando Magic pinstripe because
Nice.
they're really cool. Like
Okay.
as far as jerseys go, big fan of those. And I know Geraint,
Mm.
who's the one who put us in touch.
Yeah.
He would be
Shout out to
pleased to
G.
hear me say that.
Is that the black pinstripe then, or the blue? Which one
The
we're talking?
blue
The
pinstripe,
blue.
yeah.
Nice.
The
Yeah.
Penny Hardaway sort of thing, yeah.
Oh yeah, iconic, mate. Iconic
Yeah.
jersey, man, for sure. I think
Also,
G
I
might
mean,
have a couple of them. I think.
probably. Also, like the mid '90s Rockets jerseys, they were awesome. They were pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
And the original Raptors jerseys, like you could go on for a little while.
No, yeah, absolutely. All answers I agree with, mate. I'll be honest. Yeah, they're all kind of iconic. It kind of gives you a kind of timeline, doesn't it? They kind of points in time, aren't they? Sometimes the ones where you're like, what were they thinking? And then also ones going, yeah, I mean, I've said it before on the pod many times where, when that Raptors one come out, people like it, nobody wanted that jersey. They were like, what is this? Like,
Yeah.
people thought that it was kind of insulting people of Toronto and the Raptors and stuff. And now it's like, it's probably one of the most iconic retro jerseys out there, apart from, maybe a handful of others like Bulls, Jordans. Obviously, it's always going to be a one people want, but that Raptors one, that Carter with all McGrady on the back, everybody who collects jerseys probably is going to have one of those, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. It's I mean, I've always liked horrible football kits. Like,
okay,
one of my very good friends is a Coventry City fan, and the brown kit that they had in like the 70s and 80s, that's just truly disgusting. It's top tier for me. I adore how horrible it is.
Okay, so are you uglier the better then?
Oh yeah,
yeah. Is that
garish
it? Yeah.
and ugly. Yeah.
Swing for the
Give me a
fences.
garish. Yeah. Give me a horrible jersey any day.
Okay, like it. Yeah, no, that's good. Absolutely, 100%. So next kind of topic we're probably going to go through, mate, is kind of what kind of players do not currently on the Jazz then, or you kind of enjoy watching. Is there anybody really who you want to shout out?
Yeah, and I'm going to use the word current as a very, very key thing here because Joe Ingles is a basketball idol. He is.
Okay.
He is my Australian prince. I love Joe Ingles forever and ever. And he just brings good vibes. And he's just this season he's been on the Timberwolves, so he's back with Mike Conley and Rudy Gobert, and
Just
the
like
fact he
old
had
times.
exactly, and he had his son in the crowd, and his son he's talked about it quite a lot. He's autistic, and it was a long struggle and a long journey to get him to actually attend an NBA game. So what Chris Finch did was start Joe Ingles, which is not something that he's been doing a whole hell of a lot. And
not recently.
It's just so classy to have done that. And it shows a volume as to who the man is, both Joe and Chris Finch. Sure. I think that, I enjoyed what he brought to the Jazz. Like, I enjoyed the little fight he was having with Paul George because, he just got in George's head. But he was a great vibes man. And, the fact he got back to Salt Lake City this year and the Jazz were losing and quite badly. And the crowd was just chanting, Joe, 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 Joe.
Right.
It shows what he meant to the community. And he never really wanted to leave. No. The only reason he was traded was that he'd done his ACL and the Jazz needed to get under the luxury tax. So
yeah. Of all the players that I thought you were going to say, Joe Ingles. I'd have gone through a few players before you'd have got Joe Ingles, man. But that was that was cool, man.
He's a lefty,
True.
and he looks like me in a basketball jersey.
Are you a lefty too, Andy? Or
I am a lefty, yeah, and
okay,
and also
here we go.
I have a similar physique to Joe Ingles, despite him having a few years on me.
Yeah. Oh, it's decent, man. Yeah, absolutely. So shout out to Joe Ingles.
I mean, I do like other actual players as well that play almost every game.
That's a good story, though. I remember seeing that when they said they'd started him. That, yeah, like you say, classy move by the Timberwolves. Usually not something that the Timberwolves do, really, with management and owners and stuff. But I think they've kind of got rid of those owners now, and there's new owners in now. So,
yeah. I think Karl Anthony Towns probably has a few choice words about them, but I was pleased to see how they treated Joe, because Joe still to this day is my Australian prince.
Okay. Australian Prince. Is that his nickname? Because I have never heard that before. So.
It's what I've been calling him since I started the Jazz Twitter. So
fantastic. Yeah, love it, mate. Absolutely brilliant. And any other players then, Andy?
Yeah, I mean, you can go through the list of Jokic, Giannis, Luka. Like watching Luka school the Mavericks was quite funny.
Yeah, just to remind them what they're missing, or
yeah, and the way the camera cut back to Nico Harrison was top tier editing. And Kevin Durant and Steph Curry. I really enjoy seeing Anthony Edwards. I just think that kid has got it. Like it's not even a controversial thing to say nowadays. He's just he is that guy.
Yeah.
I just want to see him do it in the playoffs now. The problem
Yeah.
comes from the classic Rudy Gobert issue of if you're leaving a guy in the paint, everybody else has to switch. And that's kind of what the Jazz were unable to do. Like the roster that we had around Rudy wasn't capable of doing what Rudy required of them. So, wait and see what happens to them. I'm secretly praying for them to do really, really well, but also I'd kind of like to see them fail so that they break everything up and our draft picks are worth more.
Yeah, absolutely. Were you a Gobert fan when he was in Utah then, Andy?
Yeah. I mean, even to this day, I think he's the best defensive player in the league. And, Draymond Green can go and do one. But I think what Gobert does is a lot of the intangibles, a lot of like stuff that doesn't show on a stat sheet. The fact that someone will look into the paint, see him there and withdraw, and then they'll chuck up a three in the hope that something might happen.
Think twice before going in there, aren't they? Yeah.
Yeah. And okay, the guy can't shoot, but when he does everything else that he does as well as he does, he is possibly the best rim protector in the NBA right now. And for my money, if I was building a team purely on defense, he'd be in.
Yeah, very divisive player, isn't he? It's some people
character as well.
Yeah, just literally from COVID. Apparently, he caused COVID. Well, that was his fault.
This is the thing.
From that, I don't know.
And one of the things that always used to irk me when he was at the Jazz was the way he was sort of relentlessly mocked in mainstream media.
Yeah.
And I genuinely think it starts with Draymond Green and him disliking Gobert and the way that Gobert cried when he didn't make an All-Star team. And, I just thought I think the way Rudy's been treated by the US media is actually quite poor. And I would not be surprised if we were hanging 27 in the Utah rafters one day.
Really?
Over 45, over Mitchell.
Over Mitchell, yeah. I mean,
Rudy never wanted to leave. Rudy was happy to stay in Utah for his entire career.
I think Mitchell was done in Utah.
He wasn't going to resign.
No,
that's so. But Rudy had re-signed. He'd set up charities in Salt Lake City in Utah to help children. He, he's the kind of guy who gifted everyone that worked in the arena $50 or $100 for Christmas one year, and he just seems to me like a guy trying to do his best, and wherever he turns, the media's just against him. So hopefully, I genuinely hope he does really well. Especially, I'd like to see Mike Conley win a chip as well. I think he deserves it for everything he did in Memphis, everything he did in Utah. And the guy still hasn't got a technical foul.
That is insane, isn't it? That, I mean, you get a technical foul for, I don't know, dribbling the ball aggressively these days. to not do that is impressive. He's like what people say, like a pro's pro.
Yes,
Mike Conley.
Yeah.
He kind of gives off that vibe, and he's that kind of veteran. And I think that's good to have alongside Edwards, because Edwards is a very aggressive, fiery character, isn't he? And I think having somebody like a Connolly in the dressing room is a good thing for Ant.
Yeah. When
personally.
So before I started the Twitter page, I was staying up watching games and writing post-game reports on those games. And it nearly killed me because I was doing that for a whole year. And
really?
Yeah, I did. I think I did about 70-something games.
Wow.
And it was the season. It was the first season that Will Hardy was in charge, and after the Gobert and Mitchell trades.
Okay.
And I just kept calling Mike a metronome in every single time that he played, because a metronome, for people that don't know, is something that you use in music to help you keep the time. It literally does constant clicking, so you know exactly when to play and when not to play.
Yeah.
And that's what Mike did. He just made everything click perfectly in sync.
Yeah.
And that's how the Jazz that's how Lowry ended up as an all-star. That's how the Jazz ended up being slightly too good that season. Because we won too many games because we had Mike Conley.
Yeah. Kind of what makes the offense tick over. And I don't think he's ever been an all-star, has he, Conley? Which
once
just
there
once,
was that one, there was that one year where the Jazz had 3, where we topped the standings. So we had Gobert, Mitchell, and Conley made it.
Of course, that's right. Yeah, definitely. There's just that many players in the league now. The league's so deep, isn't it? It's the talent. It's as good as it's ever been. I think the league, like you see some of these teams now, the talent on players who get 10 minutes a game, and you think, man, 10 years ago this guy would be 6th or 7th man, mate, and they're like 10th in the rotation now. It's mad, isn't it, Andy?
Exactly. It's the way that the league now, like, obviously there's a lot of negative media, and it's all to do with LeBron versus Stephen A. Smith and all this sort of nonsense.
Yeah.
And even people sort of saying, "Oh, the game's gone. It's just people chucking up 3-point shots, and everyone plays the same." And it's all nonsense. It's all. You look at the teams now that you've got. Statistically, you've got the most points differential between the best team in the league and the worst team in the league that they've ever had. And the best offense in the league and the best defense in the league, they're the 2 of the best ever. So when you look at the conveniences, when you look at the trainers and the fact that they fly private and all that sort of stuff, like everything that goes into the lifestyle of an NBA player has literally never been better. And you look at the results on the court, and okay, tanking aside, we can get into that, but when you've got 2 teams that are genuinely trying to win, it's arguably a better spectacle now than it ever has been, because these players are so skilled, they're so talented, and as you say, 10th men on the bench would very often be the 6th man a few years ago.
No, absolutely. We also have some teams that jack up 63s a game as well, though, don't we? Which is not...
The reigning champions do. That's the thing.
I mean, that you can't really say much, can you? Because it's like, well, we won, so we were right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. If you're willing to gamble on a shooting variance, then that's okay with me. If it's when you chuck up 60 and don't make over half of the, like, if you're making 30% off of 60, you're asking to lose.
Yeah.
That's just maths. But
Mm.
if you can make them and you can spread the floor and you can get the look, cool, go for it.
Sure.
Not every team can, though. That's the thing.
Well, everybody would be doing it, wouldn't they else, I think? And yeah, that's probably it, isn't it? Yeah, but like you say, because they're the champs, I mean, what can you say?
Well, look at the MVP candidates. Like, you've got Jokic, you've got Giannis, arguably. You've got Shea. Like,
yeah.
even people like you, Jimmy Butler, like, these are people that live in the mid-range. So whilst you look at the people that the teams that are chucking up threes, you go, yeah, that's all cool. And you Rudy Gobert's of the world that dunk and have great shooting percentages because they literally only ever dunk.
Yeah.
The fact is that the real star players are the players that play in the mid-range, and the real difference makers are the ones that are able to get to the elbow and get to the spots. And, DeMar DeRozan did it for years. And I think that's the fact that we've got these kinds of variations is for a more exciting league, as far as I can tell.
Absolutely. Are you a fan of the All-Star games, Andy, as they are? They've made a lot of changes for them, so that's always a fun combo.
I mean, it's basically like watching Harlem Globetrotters, isn't it? It's you can't take it seriously as a spectacle. I never actually seen a competitive, good All-Star game because I've only been watching for a few years. But from what I understand, when someone like Kobe was around and taking it a damn sight more seriously, then they was much better to watch. It's like watching somebody play 2K.
Yeah. I think Elliot said something kind of that stuck with me when he come on the pod. It's the All-Star game isn't for us, kind of older generation. It's to keep the younger fans engaged, and that's what they want to see. They want to see the 3-pointers and the YouTubers coming on and cameoing and things. So it's not really made for us anymore, which I kind of stuck with me, really. I was like, yeah, you're probably right. And I didn't watch it this year, and I was totally fine with it. So
I watched it with my kid this year, which was the first year I've done that.
Okay.
By that, I mean, I watched it the next day.
Yeah.
So I'm not insane. I'm not waking a 10-year-old up at 1 a.m. just to watch people chuck up threes.
Some dads do that, man. I don't know.
We had a conversation about WrestleMania, but that's not happening. But yeah, so I watched it with him, but I've been less bothered as the years have gone on because don't get me wrong, like I loved it when Utah had it. I've got as much of the merch as I could get. I've got an All-Star jersey with the Utah Mountains on it. Like I loved it when Utah had it.
Sure.
But that was literally just because it was in Utah.
Yeah, you got a vested interest then, like you said before. You kind of got that. It's in Utah and it's your team, so yeah, you're kind of a bit more invested in that, aren't you? Than would be.
I was hoping I was going to be sent back out that year, and it was the time that the conference was like a couple of weeks away from All Star.
Oh wow!
So I was going to see the possibilities of staying. I'm not sure I'd have got that by my wife, but it didn't happen either way. So
okay. No, maybe one day, Andy. Maybe one day.
You never know. I think we've had the discussion. I said, look, I'll be honest. I'm probably not going to get her to go to Utah with me, but we can try and go somewhere where the Jazz are playing at that exact time. So if we do happen to go to Orlando, it might be a time that the Jazz are playing. If we go to New York, it might be when they're playing the Knicks.
Yeah.
To LA.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, that's a good idea, man. Yeah, like you say, get them when they're away from home and maybe in a place that's a bit more appealing.
Desirable.
Let's say desirable. Yes, that's a better word, mate. Yeah, that's
it's
for somebody who's not a Jazz fan, maybe.
She by proxy has become a Jazz fan.
Okay, right.
Which is interesting. For a long time, I changed her background on her phone to just a picture of Mike Conley.
Did she not change it? Did the wife leave it?
I think she was quite happy with it, to be honest.
that's fantastic.
And I think she liked the fact. So she's a teacher, and she had her phone in school, and she put it on the desk, and one of the kids saw it. She went, "Who's that?" And she went, "Oh, it's just a basketball player from Utah." And then everyone just looked at her like, "What?"
What? It's maybe not as a niche a thing as these days. NBA being is it gaining in popularity in the UK? I think it is.
I think so. I hope so.
Hmm.
I
I
think the
think
game in general is.
yeah.
So by proxy, the NBA is too. So
Hmm. Yeah. I mean, I think they're going to announce that there's going to be games next season at Manchester. NBA regular season games. Not sure how many, but that can only be a good thing because I think. I mean, I used to go to the O2 games when the O2 games were there.
yeah,
If it's in Manchester, I think I'd definitely try and go if I could.
I now unfortunately I'm at the point where I'd have to be buying at least 2 tickets. Like
Yeah,
I looked at the Team USA games when they were in London, and I just couldn't
yeah,
justify it.
yeah. I went the South Sudan game where
Hmm.
the USA nearly lost, and I was like, "Am I about to see the biggest upset in basketball history here?" Because South Sudan led a long way, all the way to the end, and
Yeah.
LeBron kind of turned into LeBron. I was just like,
Mm.
this is mad because I thought, oh, because I want to get to, I think they played Germany in a friendly as well a couple of days
Yeah.
later, and I couldn't get tickets for that, but could only get for the South Sudan. I'm like, oh, this is going to be a bit of a blowout. You know, you're gonna see LeBron for 15 minutes and then and all that, but they actually had to play them guys against the South
You got
Sudan.
to see LeBron doing LeBron things.
Yeah, literally, mate. Yeah, literally. So that, yeah, but the prices were a lot, Andy. Yeah, not gonna
Yeah,
lie.
it's
Yeah,
like I said, I can't do certain things without taking uh my kid. So
yeah.
you know,
So is your kid a
luckily,
jazz fan as well?
oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I've
nice.
indoctrinated him in the ways of both Cardiff City and the Utah Jazz.
You
So
sure you sure you want to make him a jazz fan? Is that...
I mean, he's used to disappointment in his entire life, and
You did say that earlier, mate. Yeah, for yourself. So
and my youngest, she has absolutely no interest. So
okay,
she just
just
go, "Oh, you're watching basketball again? Okay." She just walks out the room.
how old are your kids?
The eldest will be 10 in a couple of
Okay,
months, and
yeah,
the youngest is 6.
okay, nice, yeah.
So yeah, the amount of attitude I get from the 6-year-old already, I am not looking forward to teenage years.
It only gets better, mate. Apparently.
So I've heard.
So, oh dear. Are Cardiff gonna stay up this year, Andy?
Oh, I don't know. When's this going out? That's probably the key question.
It could be going out in a day or two.
We've got
Before
Stoke.
Saturday, anyway.
Well, yeah, we've got Stoke this Saturday,
Yeah,
which is a
I'm a,
6-pointer.
I'm a Stoke
Um,
fan as well. Yeah, so
oh wow, okay, yeah. So
yeah,
you know exactly how our situation's looking.
yeah. I
Um,
think we're right there with you, mate.
yeah, if
Yeah.
if we win on the weekend, we're level on points, so we're
Mm,
out of the bottom 3.
yeah,
We've also got Oxford coming up as well on Easter
mm,
Monday. All
yeah.
we need is a couple of wins, but we've just been drawing too many games.
Mm,
We just aren't winning, and that's not a good recipe for
no.
success.
Sounds eerie familiar, mate, to the Stoke season. To be honest, dropping too many points, mate.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's got
Well,
0-0 written all over it, mate.
it does. It does. I actually went up to the Bet 365. I was going to call it the Britannia.
It
Earlier
used to
on
be
this season,
Britannia. Yeah, no, yeah.
we went up for the FA Cup game.
But that was a mad game, wasn't it? That one.
Yeah, that was fun. And
Yeah.
that was my boy's first away day as well. So
Wow.
uh,
Oh, he'll love it. He'll love it then, won't he? All the way your
yeah,
days
yeah,
like this, aren't they, Dad?
pretty
Yeah.
much, that's how
Yeah.
it works.
Yeah. Oh, it's good though, man. But yeah. So we shall see, mate. What happens on Saturday?
Saturday's the
But
biggie, isn't it? That's the big 6-pointer.
it's a big, yeah, yeah. We dropped 2 points at home to Luton the other night when we were
I
leading.
saw.
Yeah,
I
it's
was
just
I was glad of a draw.
I bet. Yeah, I bet. Yeah, I could have done with that win, mate. They're all
Yeah.
6 pointers now, aren't they? You get this close.
Yeah, they're all cup finals is the cliche, isn't it?
It is, unfortunately, yeah, but it is probably right. So, yeah. So, anything else, Andy, before we head out? I think we've covered everything we need to.
We've pretty much covered everything, and I will be honest, my mouth is hurting.
So,
I'm
we've come
due my next lot of painkillers.
right. Yes. Well, we better head out then, Andy, aren't we? But thank you very much for having you on, mate. It was good fun, and it was nice to have you on. Thanks for giving up the time, and hopefully you'll be feeling better in the next couple of days. So
Thanks for the invitation. How I feel in the next few days is entirely dependent on Saturday's result. So
yeah, absolutely,
we'll see. But yeah, so thank you very much for having me on. If
absolutely.
anyone wants to check me out on social media, if you're on X, I do still technically have the Utah Jazz UK page. I don't really update X too much anymore because X is kind of a bin fire. And you can catch me on the social media, which is linked through from the Utah Jazz page.
Absolutely, yeah, guys, go give Andy a follow on Utah Jazz UK, and also you've got a podcast as well, Andy. Do you want to tell people a quick thing about that?
I do. So the podcast is a part of the Film Stories podcast network. My podcast is Frame to Frame, which I host alongside a good friend of mine for over 10 years now, a man by the name of film journalist called Sean Wilson, and we take two seemingly unconnected films and slam them together. So certain themes are basically contrived so that we can talk about these specific films. We've done things as obvious as Harrison Ford pointing angrily in movies. We've recently done actors directing debuts, where we did Citizen Kane and Night of the Hunter because they're the first time directors.
Yeah.
The next one we'll have coming out is Writing the Legend, where we're discussing two westerns. So yeah, like we've done over 200 odd episodes, 2 films on each episode. So if there's one that takes your fancy, go back and listen in.
Absolutely, mate. Absolutely, yeah, guys. Go give Andy a follow also on his Frame to Frame pod as well. But I'll be checking some of them pods out as well, Andy. But
Cheers,
like
man.
I said, thank you very much for agreeing to come on, mate. It's much appreciated. So hopefully we'll have you on again when the things are better for the Jazz and Cooper Flagg's playing, and it should hopefully be all good, man.
That would be wonderful, but I'll take my face being okay. That would be. Even if we dropped a 6th pick in the draft, I'll come back on if my face is okay.
Well, you've soldiered on, mate. So thank you very much, mate. Thanks very much, guys, for tuning in. So you'll be able to watch this back on YouTube. If you want to see how swollen Andy's face was, watch it on YouTube. And if you want to listen back to it, guys, you'll be able to listen to it back on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you get your podcasts. We'll be back next week. We're going live next Saturday on the 19th at 10 a.m. live on YouTube. We'll be doing our super playoff preview pod where we'll have a couple of guests on and we'll be previewing all the playoff series before they start later on that day. So tune in for that, guys. Saturday, 19th of April at 10 a.m. So stay tuned for that, guys. But we'll be back with another guest on in a couple of weeks, guys. So thanks for tuning in, and we will see you again very soon.